Today I've got a little bit different video. I am going to do a road trip from Dallas to Angel Fire, New Mexico, and this in my Solterra, my Subaru Premium 2025 Solterra. And this is the first stop. I am in Ardmore, Oklahoma. This is the best route that I could find. I prefer Electrify America so far at this point with chargers. And I had to go basically north of Dallas into Ardmore through Oklahoma City. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to go charge again on the other side of Oklahoma City. Then once more in Oklahoma, then Amarillo, I think once in New Mexico, and then a couple options when I get closer to Angel Fire. And I talked to Angel Fire yesterday, and the charger that's a J1772, so not a CCS that's at the lodge, is not working. But there's two other options there that I've looked up and that I talked to them about. So we'll see if those work. This is my first road trip in an EV, and I wanted to take you along because there's one other video I've seen of a Solterra road trip, and it was pretty good. He went through and did some different stops and showed them. So we'll see how this goes. I got a new mount, so my camera is actually on the window, the passenger window of the car, and I'm going to try these DJI mics out again. I'm going to try and get some pictures of charging time. So far, when I pulled up here, I was at, I think, 60%, maybe, something like that. And right now, the charging was super easy. Electrify America, again, so far, out of the ones I've tried, which have done EVgo, a couple smaller market ones, probably another one is in there. This one, it seems the best. So I pulled up. I hooked up the CCS to the car. I'm at a Walmart, and which most of the ones that Electrify America have, I noticed, are either at a Walmart or a Love's. We'll see how those work out. Anyway, so far I've been charging for 12 minutes. It's been $7. It's at 69%, almost 70. So that's it. So I'm gonna head on inside, use the restroom, probably pick up something to eat. I left Dallas about 5:40 this morning, just because I'm assuming this is gonna take a long time. But the benefit is, while stuff charges, I'm gonna work on homework. But at the rate this is charging, by the time I go to the bathroom, come back, that might not be an issue. But I'm gonna do a couple stops. I've also set this up where, you know, unlike Tesla, you can have to map out your own drive. And I spent several hours on PlugShare and went through and kind of mapped this out, and went to Electrify America, look at their map and compared those two. And I want to be really conservative on this drive. Again, it's my first road trip. The range on this car so far that I got since April seems really consistent with what the range left is on the car. And I get 240 is when I'm doing okay, but 220 miles seems like the max on highway regular driving. So what I did is, the longest stretch I have between chargers is 160 miles, I think, which is probably this next one coming up. And then all the others kind of drop down from there. And my average is a little less than 100 miles between stops. If I remember right, I think I have 5 stops in total. And I think on the way back, we'll see how this goes. I don't think I'll have to do 2 of those, or I can take one of those stops out. But again, I just want to be really conservative, just from personal range anxiety kind of thing. And then that's it. So I just want to take you along. I'm going to hopefully make this fun. We'll see how that goes. While I've been sitting here, it's already up to 72%. So even since talking, it's already gone up 3%. So I'm going to head inside, use the restroom, grab some breakfast, something, and then I'll set the camera up, and then we'll do some videos on the way to Angel Fire together. I have a update. I have made it to Weatherford, Oklahoma. I got here with a 13% charge, which was the first time I've gotten that low. So that was a little, definitely range anxiety. It took me a little over 2 hours to get here from the last charger. This is also at a Walmart, also Electrify America. Once I found it, which it was off to the side, which I get. Once I found it, it was great. It's charging really fast. I'm already up to 20%. And it was super easy. So let me turn you around. So that's the charger. That's through the rain. And then on here, if you want to look, so start on here. So the Solterra says 80% is 35 minutes. And then to 100% is an hour. And just for, I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, you know, you can charge up a little bit, then go to the next one. I'll get there. I just really want to have that full charge until I get a little more comfortable. But again, last time I did not actually get any homework done, because by the time I went to the restroom in Walmart, I came back out, I had like 20 minutes left, and it wasn't worth getting my laptop out and hotspotting and stuff. So that's the latest update. This is the Walmart, so if you're coming, it's kind of open field on the side. And then over here, kind of in the middle of the lot. And it seems easy. I'd be really nice if there was a charger midway, or what would be really nice is if Electrify America could do a charging station between Fort Worth and Amarillo. Because that's the only reason I'm coming up through Oklahoma is there is, like I mentioned before, there's just no charging network for Electrify America or any big CCS chargers that are not at a car dealership in between there. So it's, I think, 350 miles of no chargers like this. So that's my big lesson. And just to show too, it's already gone up. So 13% again is when I pulled up to, which that can't show, but I can sure show it here. 25%. So that's really, really fast. And that was really, really close. So anyway, so I'm going to go in, use the restroom, see if there's something to eat. And then this time for real work on some homework, because that's quite a while. So I will check back in once I've charged, and we'll go from there. Okay, so this is check-in number 3. I have made it to Eric, Oklahoma. This is a shorter one. It's about 80 miles from the last one. I'm at another Electrify America station. This one's out of Love's. I had some issues. This is my first time having charging issues, and the charger, so I'll turn you around. So this one, neither of the plugs worked, so I switched to this one, and I am 81% in, and it's at a normal Love truck stop. This one is my last one in Oklahoma, and then I go into Amarillo, Texas. So I started in Dallas, stopped before Oklahoma City, stopped after Oklahoma City. Now I'm in Eric, just on the border of Oklahoma and Texas in the Panhandle, and the next one will be Amarillo. The car's been doing great. It's super comfortable. So I've been going through a good bit of rain. Some of it's been misting, some of it not. One thing that I did have a weird issue with is 2 separate white pickups going through Oklahoma. The adaptive cruise control didn't see vehicles in front of me. I haven't had that issue before with Subaru, like even in light rain, and this was not anything substantial. It was just a lot of mist on the road. I didn't see them, so that was really different. So I canceled adaptive cruise control until I got a little bit outside of Oklahoma and the light rain, very light rain, eased up. I still just, again, I really wish there was an Electrify America station just like this one, just like the last one and the last one, that was in the middle between Fort Worth and Amarillo, because that way I could just go in a straight line and I'd probably shave off several hours. But you know what? I got a road trip. We got to try stuff out. You get to come with me and see what this road trip in an EV is like, and a Subaru Solterra on top of that. It would be really nice if I could do this all through the car, where I could click on the charging stations and make a route that way, kind of like Tesla does. And also maybe precondition the battery. I don't know specifically how that works in a not Tesla, but that would be another really nice feature. And again, just, I know it's a big ask, but just 100 miles more range. So right now I'm consistently averaging around 240 miles. That's highway speeds, speed limit a little bit over, which I do appreciate on the infotainment screen. But the similar comparison to the Model Y is over 100 miles more range, and faster charging, and being able to do it all through the screen. What's difficult is, I guess not difficult, I guess, you know, just cumbersome maybe, is that I am having to so do the car and then Google Maps in the car. And before I got here, like I mentioned, I used PlugShare to plan out the route, and Electrify America's website to kind of figure out where their charges are, and PlugShare and look at the reviews, pretty recent, to make sure they were still up and running. Then when I get here, I have to plug it in. It takes a moment. Then I have to go into the app, the Electrify America app, click on the charger I'm using, swipe to start charging, and it starts. And again, it's not super cumbersome, but the fact that I could do all of those things in the Tesla app in the car just makes things a lot easier. I do know that the, I think 26 Solterra is going to have the NACS charger, and the electric Outback, the Trail Seeker, that's gonna I think that's supposed to have NACS also. Hyundai's coming out with NACS. The Rivian R2, which I'm really interested in, is gonna have NACS. We'll see how that goes, because again, it's all that app integration, and I don't know how it's going to be with just pulling up and charging. I know Ford can do it now. I'm just interested to see how that goes, and it would be a lot easier. And I understand different platforms, communication, and all that stuff. It would just be a lot easier to pull the charger off of here, even Electrify America, which has been, again, out of the probably 5 times I've used it, and not just on this trip, but in general, this is the first charger that I've had any issues with whatsoever. It would just be a lot easier if I just plug it in the car and get back in the car. And, you know, for this instance, it's not too bad, but like at the last stop, it was misting a little bit. It was starting to rain a little bit as I left. It would just be one less thing. The car itself has been fine. It's a super comfortable ride. So if I can change so the light gets a little better. It's a super comfortable ride. Yeah, I mean, it's a good Subaru car, and I do recognize that, you know, the range being a little different for the Subaru. It does have higher ground clearance by several inches over the Model Y, so I get that, like range wise, I understand. It would just be nice if it had a little bit bigger battery pack, a little more range, because there's a couple of these stops that I could probably remove if this just had an extra 100 miles. Even another 50 miles. I could have stretched a little bit more. But, I mean, so far, road trip's been fine. Adaptive cruise control, minus that weird mist, rain, specifically two white pickup trucks. And it's never done that before with white pickup trucks or any white cars. So that's weird. Yeah, anyway, when that was going on, it was freaking out that it couldn't see my eyes. And then it just started beeping nonstop, which is just odd. Everything else has been fine though. So I've got, I believe, 3 more stops. The last stop was about an hour. The only reason I didn't film the end of that one is it was raining, and I was ready to get going because that one had been an hour. This one's probably going to be 45 minutes, maybe probably another 20 minutes on top of this. And then this is the next long stretch. And then after the Amarillo stretch, I think I've got some shorter stretches onward into Angel Fire. So I'll check back in Amarillo and we'll see how things are going. All right, so next check-in, I am in Amarillo. Took about 2 hours. I got down to around 20% when I pulled in. I'm at a Sam's Club, also Electrify America. This is the fastest one at 88 kilowatts. The last one was the next fastest, so it seems like the more west I go, it seems like they just keep getting faster. So I guess we'll see how the next one in New Mexico goes. Something I thought was cool is behind me, there is an electric city bus that's actually hooked up to one of the chargers. So that was neat. Everything else was super simple, like the last few. What I'm going to try now is the next few charges are all about 100 miles in between stops instead of 150 or close to 200. So I'm going to charge up not to full this time and see how that goes. That way I can kind of get out of here a little quicker. This says to 80% and it'll be about 15 more minutes. Everything up until this point has been about 55 minutes. That's been pretty consistent. The last one was 50 minutes, but it's all been about 55. Car's still doing great. The wind, I remembered all the wind once I saw all the wind farms, once I got outside Amarillo. There were a lot of state troopers. It was probably every 5 miles there's another Tahoe. A bunch of them. There were 5 in a row, so like it was pretty steady. It's also the 4th of July, so maybe that's just what they're doing today. Well, I will check in on the next one. This one was just as easy to hook up to as the other ones, minus this past Love's stop. I just hooked up, plugged it in the car, swiped to charge, and just started working. So I've got one more in once I cross into New Mexico, which I think is, again, it's probably going to be like an hour, a little over an hour. And then I think I've got one more at the base of the mountain before I get into the little drive up into Angel Fire. And then there'll be an adventure to see which kind of charger works. But I'll be staying all within, like 5-minute drives of everything. And the CCS that's on the other side of the mountain pass before you get up in the mountains is only about 50 miles. So I'm not worried at this point. At this point moving forward, there's a bunch of chargers. There's a bunch of chargers in Oklahoma. There's a bunch of chargers all over Texas, again, except for the stretch from Fort Worth to Amarillo. It's just like a ghost town. I don't know why. I don't know if it's local politics or what, but again, this is probably the 6th time I've said it, but if Electrify America or anybody could put in some CCS chargers in between there, that would be awesome. All right, so update from New Mexico. I am in the city of Tucumcari. I probably butchered that. So I am here charging at 103 kilowatts. So my guess of more kilowatts the further west I go is right. Though 2 ago, I think it was 60. The last one was 88. This one's 101. So that's good. It's at a Love's. Car ride was easy. It was an extra hour. The next one I have for the next stop is going to be, let's see, so I'm at a Love's. I've got 150 miles until Wagon Mound, New Mexico. And on that one, that'll be the last one before Angel Fire. So I'll check in, ride went fine, and I'm gonna go try and get some dinner at Love's. Okay, so here I am. Last stop before Angel Fire. I am in Wagon Mound. It was about an hour and a half drive from the last stop. And it was okay drive. There was no service for most of it. And then service started coming back where I am. Another Electrify America station. This is the one I'm at. And it's pretty sparse. It's just a little gas station. Then after this, I've got about an hour drive, 50 miles through the mountain, and then I'll be at Angel Fire. So far, car's been doing great. It was, even though no cell service, what was nice was just how quiet it was. It was, I mean, obviously electric car, but I think I drove past maybe 8 cars from the last charger to here. It was very out of the way. Some of the part had no service and no power lines, so it was very out of the way. Car did fine. The only thing, one thing I was going to mention was when I left, it was just taking an eternity to charge that last little bit, and I wanted to top off as best as possible because according to the map, it was going to be 150 miles, and then where I came from, it was sorry, there's a mosquito. It was 120, and what was nice is on the drive, I was only supposed to have, I think, 20 miles or 30 miles of range when I got here. And just all the driving and stuff, I think I had, when I pulled up here, I had 70 miles. So I was over double what I thought it was going to be. And that was just from when going down the hills and stuff and coasting, not using hardly any power. And then regen, when I was going down the hills, it was just really neat. It was neat to see that in action, to see the energy kind of double. Sorry, mosquito again. And last charger, there was one person that pulled up in a Mustang. This charger, there was a guy that pulled up in a Hummer. And that's been it. So I will probably do an update tomorrow because I'm going to get in a little late. And I'm kind of tired because I left at 5:40 this morning. And it is, let's see what time it is. It is 8:24, 9:24 Dallas time from when I left. So the car's great. I don't know if I'm going to be doing this EV thing again for a long trip. Subaru has a really cool deal where if you do a lease that you can get a gas car for 10 days. So, 2 weeks. I think I mentioned that before. I think I will be taking them up on that offer next go around with this. The car is great. It's just the charging is just not painful. That's the wrong word. The charging is very time consuming. So that's it. I will do a check-in probably tomorrow, and then we'll go from there. Morning. I have made it to Angel Fire. I got in last night about 10:30 at night. It was a lot more than I thought I would be driving yesterday, but that was again my first EV road trip, so my expectations are now, I think, more appropriate. I am at the library. They have 2 CCS chargers. This is where they are. There is really good parking. There's a little bench that's over there. I am getting 42 kilowatts, 42 kilowatt hours. Sorry, I only get about 6 hours of sleep. So that's it. I'm going to go check out the country club one later. I'll probably try that one out maybe the day before I go. I'm going to be here for a few days. And so far, it's easy. This one did not have an app. It had a tap to pay. It did not like American Express. So just bear that in mind. MasterCard worked just fine, but definitely not American Express. And that's it. So I was able to make it. That was 3 states. So Texas and Oklahoma, out of Oklahoma, back into Texas, into New Mexico, through New Mexico, and then into Angel Fire for my first ever EV road trip. I guess some big takeaways for me. So I really like the EV. I'm really a fan of getting the charge back going down. I'm really a fan of the regen braking going downhill. That was huge. Like just being able to take my foot off the brake or the gas or accelerator, I guess. The car just easily going down, not worrying about my brakes. That was really big. That stuck with me. So I don't know where I sit on it. If it could have, again, I think going over again, 100 miles more range, and a lot faster charging. The Hummer that I was parked next to last night in Wagon something, right before I got an Angel Fire, he was pulling 120 kilowatts from the charger. I was pulling 24 or something like that. So I think my big takeaway is if this can just charge faster. I think that's what the hard part is, which other people have mentioned too, is it's so slow charging. Like the chargers are capable. All the Electrify America ones, I think except for one that I tried, all could do 350. I peaked out at 100 at one of them, which was great, and 88 at one of them, and 60, like I said. But looking back, thinking about it this morning, that only lasted for a couple of minutes. It got me up out of the teens in the percentages, and then it dropped off drastically to the 30s and then the 20s, and then it liked to sit after like 40%, it liked to sit around the 30s, and then after about 60%, it liked to sit in the upper teens charging. It's just so slow. So I'm hoping in the Solterra, the 26 model, that's going to get fixed, and also that for the 26 model has the NACS charger. And the comment I made the other day of wishing there were more chargers from Electrify America, which again would be great because they were, all but the one weird thing, they were all just working the whole time. There were superchargers everywhere. There were superchargers at gas stations, at dealerships. There were superchargers on the side of the road. There were superchargers at Buc-ee's, all for Tesla. So I think my concern of taking so long to charge and where to charge would go away with that NACS charger for the next Subaru. I think I'm just a little jaded from just how much time. So I talked to my wife, and she drove. She was in Santa Fe Taos last week. So this is pretty comparable. We're like 7 days apart from our early chill solo trip while daughter's at camp. And her drive took 10 hours. Mine took 17. So from leaving the house to getting into the lodge here at Angel Fire was 17 hours, which is nuts. She has a Crosstrek that's gas powered, by the way. I guess that's important context. That's just nuts. So I think either the NACS charger is big, But also just the Subaru thing where you can do the 10 days if you get a Solterra. I think I'm going to do that next time, because I mean, it was just crazy. The amount of wait time was just crazy. In the past years, my younger years, I did a lot of driving. I have never, like, the time of driving and sitting, whatever, how you want to put that together, that time and the distance covered, I have never had that bad of a ratio. So we'll see. I'm going to try on my way back. I'm a little more comfortable now with less of a charge, but even then, again, like that 40-80%, it doesn't charge fast. And even the Hummer last night that I was sitting next to, when I was talking to him, he was getting 120 up to 80%, and then it would dip off. And I know it's not going to charge that fast. Like, I understand it's the, BRZ, I think Solterra, like, it's just not going to charge that fast. I get that. But I mean, at least 50, like, I mean, at least that would be great. Yeah, so that was it. I'm going to do some other updates on this old drive. I will say, for this car, the way I had to go from Wagon something last night into Angel Fire, I had a lot of faith in Google in the dark, because again, I got in at nearly 11 o'clock. It took me through dirt and gravel roads with huge potholes, from that small intersection area or town where that last charger was to here. And I finally hit pavement about 10 miles, I think, 9 miles before here. But there were a lot of times, like, if I had been in a sedan or the Model Y, I don't know if I would have, I think I would have torn some plastic off. And, I had a moment where I was just like, I'm just going to trust Google. Google says to keep going this way, and it is a road. So and it's going up. Those are all the directions and things I want. But it gave me a lot of comfort knowing that I did charge enough that I had 100 miles. I needed to go 50 miles. So I could have gone back to that charger and regrouped if I needed to. But it was just a lot of comfort that I wasn't worried about durability. And I think that's what keeps bringing me back to Subaru is this is our 5th one. And, another video I have, I think we had a wreck where we got rear-ended on a freeway in Dallas, near Dallas, from a Dodge pickup, and it hit us so hard it shoved us into another car. And that Outback was totaled, but you wouldn't have known it from the inside. Like, yes, there was glass, everywhere. And the front seats were pushed up a little bit. But aside from that, like, you would not have known that that there was any kind of issue. So, man, I was just getting a little tired holding the camera that way. The durability of Subaru and Toyota in this case, I'm just really sold on it. Like, again, last night, I know in the dark, never been there before, not knowing what was around the next bend, no cell phone service, but I knew that I had this car, and I mostly knew that within that charge range, I would get to at least to the top and have some cell phone service, if anything. Just knowing I had the Subaru durability was massive. And some of those potholes on the other side of the cattle guards were big. Like, I guarantee I would have ripped plastic off of any other car. Minus a truck, obviously, I guess. So that's it. I really like the Solterra. I really do. I wish it was a trim level up. This is the premium. I wish it was the limited. I wish it had a NACS charger or way faster charging or both. But everything else is great. Like for a commuter car in the mountains, like this is the perfect car. So if you're looking at a Subaru thing that's an electric, this is great. I did look this morning because I was just curious if the specs were out yet. The Solterra for 26 with the NACS charger, those specs aren't out yet, but that's coming out in the fall of this year, supposedly of 25. And then the Outback electric or the Trail Seeker is, I think, spring of 26, which I'm probably leaning toward. But that's it. Thanks for watching this little road trip journey. And I'll give a few more updates. Have a great day. I've made it back to Dallas. This is actually July 20th. I filmed the drive for this previous part on July 4th. I stayed in Angel Fire over the weekend and then came back on the 7th. It's amazing to me how quick time flies these days. It feels like it was just like mid last week that I was coming back, and you know, with work and life and everything, time just seems to fly. So I've got a few things I want to go over now that I've done the trip. I've come back. I came back a different way. One thing that I wanted to point out was, this previous part of the video, I've gone over through Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico. On the way back, I went through Angel Fire and then Wagon Mound and the Loves in the T place I keep messing up, and then Amarillo. Once I hit Amarillo, instead of going due east, I stayed on, I think, 277, maybe, I think that was it, and decided to go from Amarillo through Childress, Wichita Falls, and then the Metroplex. As I did my research, there were no, and as I said previously in the video, there are no Electrify America stations or EVgo, anything like that, between Amarillo and Fort Worth. What there is in Childress, that whole area, there is one CCS charger. It is at an HTO, which is a tea, like a beverage little quick stop place. They have one CCS charger that I think was capping out at 60 kilowatts per hour. What was difficult for me is everything was going pretty well on this drive back. So I don't know if it was because it was cooler, because I left in the morning, but I was averaging about 20 minutes per charge as opposed to 55 minutes, like I stated before, on the drive from Angel Fire to Dallas. When I got to Childress, there was a Silverado EV pulling an RV, and that is where I hit a major speed bump. Again, that's the only CCS charger anywhere between Amarillo and Wichita Falls. And that truck, I was there for 2 hours while they charged up. And that was difficult, because I thought at the time that I had a cutoff of 7 p.m. in Wichita Falls for where the next CCS chargers were, which were car dealerships. And when I looked on Google and there were websites, they all showed that they cut off at 7 p.m. So I was kind of pretty close, like looking at Google Maps and refreshing the time, trying to see what that looked like of finishing at Childress and then how much time I'd have. Well, I finally got to about 30 minutes before I had to go. And again, I only had to charge it for 15 minutes to then get to Wichita Falls with enough power. And I finally walked over to the truck and I asked the guy that was driving, and I was very polite. I made sure to be, because I didn't want to be, you know, an ass. And I just said, you know, it's been about an hour and a half. Do you know about how much longer it's going to be? And he said, I have about 15 to 20 more minutes. And to his credit, he was. In about 15 to 20 minutes, he was done. So I hit that, and then that charging was really clunky. The app wasn't great. It was clunky, and it was the only charger. What was difficult for me is that directly across the street that I could see, you know, not 300 feet away, there was a bank of, I think, 10 superchargers from Tesla that I can't plug into yet. I think that would have changed my perspective, but I'll get to that in a minute. So charged up for about 15 minutes. That was enough to get me to Wichita Falls. I called them on the way because it was gonna be so close. And they said that there is no gate. This was the Hyundai, I think, Grubbs of Wichita Falls. It's definitely Hyundai of Wichita Falls. And I got there, the staff was really kind. I hooked up, it was just a tap to pay, and it started charging. I think that was also about 60 kilowatts per hour. And that, I stayed there for probably, I think, 40 minutes or 35 minutes, because that was a big stretch to go from there to home. And again, the Solterra I've gone over before, it's just a tiny tank. It's just, this tank happens to be electrons instead of gas or diesel. So got home, and it was good, uneventful, boring. It's just what was tough. So going to Angel Fire, it ended up being 17 hours. Coming back from Angel Fire to Dallas was 15 hours. But 2 of those hours would have been gone if that Silverado had not been there. So that would have been 13 hours, which still is 3 hours longer than when my wife went to Santa Fe just a week prior to that trip that I was on. And her trip was 10 hours. When we had an opportunity these last about a week and a half ago in Terrell, Texas, there's a Buc-ee's that has a Tesla supercharger bank, and that supercharger bank, they have some of the new version ones, but they also have it's not the universal dock, I think the Magic dock, but it's the one with the CCS built in. And I went up and plugged in, and it worked awesome. The only issue is that those Magic docks are not at all the superchargers. I wish they were, that'd be really handy. So that's the first thing. If I could have just charged at superchargers, I would have had consistent charging. That was gonna be quick, and they're spaced so well apart that there's no concern over charging. Even that stretch from Fort Worth to Amarillo, there were numerous supercharger banks everywhere on that whole stretch of road that I could see from the road, and I'm sure there were some probably off the highway a little bit. So that would have been a big thing. That being said, on the charger thing, I actually went to Electron when I got back, the website for Electron, and I purchased the NACS Tesla Charger 2 CCS adapter. I was going to see if I could use it as some superchargers. Subaru is not in the list yet to be able to charge. I emailed Subaru America and emailed Electron. The consensus seems to be that Subaru is coming soon. The upgraded Solterra that's coming in that has a NACS charger is supposed to come out in October of this year. So it's got to be, in the next, this is end of July, so it's going to be in the next few months, hopefully. Another thing I want to go over is the Wi-Fi in here. This has a hotspot built in. What was tough though is, so I should preface this, I have never had a good experience with AT&T, ever. We had Uverse, we've had phones, it's just, I've never had a good experience with AT&T. This hotspot is through AT&T. My expectations were almost non-existent. And while I tried going on the trip, the Wi-Fi hotspot would kick on because the free trial worked just fine. When I went through to pay for the 1 month and it came back on, it would not work. And that was, it was difficult because that's why I was going to do my homework and just, if there was no cell phone service, I could use the hotspot in the car to get a little more signal out to text or something, which I'll go over in a second. I called AT&T. I called them on Saturday after July 4th, and no one answered. And then I called on Sunday. Well, I called on Friday, no one answered. I called on Saturday, and it rang, and then it cut me off. It just hung up on me. Then I called again, and I finally got a hold of someone. And to her credit, the hotspot was working. It was probably like 20, 30 minutes of troubleshooting. It was a weird thing with, apparently there was like a subscription service issue on the AT&T side, not on this car side. because she could see it, I could see it, everything it was there. It was something with that. So she reset it on her end, popped right up. We had to turn the car off a couple of times and open the door and do some, like, hold the infotainment power button down a little bit. But other than that, it went fine. So the Wi-Fi hotspots in here works great. One of the reasons I want to try that is on the way to Angel Fire, like in the previous section of this video, I mentioned that there was no cell phone service. And then in other parts where there's no cell phone service, there's also no power line. So I mean, it was pretty remote. And there was no bars, like not even like 1X or anything. There was just nothing. So what I tried on the drive back is I hit that section and I was able to send text without any issue. I was able to stream Apple Music with no issue through the hotspot. And I text my wife and she was able to text back instantly. There was nothing. So there could be a couple of things. One, Verizon has no towers in that area, which is possible. Well, I mean, it is highly likely just from where it was. And then two is that there were 2 towers on top of a peak there when I was coming into one of the towns. They probably, my guess is T-Mobile and AT&T, and that's why it was working so well. One thing that would be nice is if there was a signal indicator on the car to know how much signal I was getting for the hotspot. That'd be really handy. Which I think I mentioned before about the 10-day rental car thing from Subaru. That's not offered in Texas. I put a little blurb on that, a little asterisk in one of the other sections. So my current thinking, and again, this could change with the next round of vehicles because I have this one for 2.5 years, and maybe this will change by then. I'm really leaning toward getting the hybrid Forester, and we have a Grand Cherokee also, an old Grand Cherokee, and it doesn't have many years left in it. And getting the Forester and letting that be the road trip car, and I'm leaning more toward that, unless the supercharger stuff, or if I go with a Rivian R2, which is I'm kind of leaning toward. Or if Subaru just gets way better in 2.5 years, which is also highly likely because, I mean, just in 6 months, this car's had huge improvements from the different versions and iterations. I'm glad the sun went behind a cloud. It's about 100 degrees right now, and that's like 38 Celsius. It's toasty. So the Forester hybrid is what I'm leaning toward right now. Mainly just for driving distance. I don't really care about the stops. If I could have done fewer charging stops, I think it would have negated the whole issue of time. It's just, again, the fuel tank on this is just so small. It's just so tiny. So then, so next thing I want to go over is just Subaru in general, because again, we love Subaru. They have been an amazing dealership, car company, just everything about Subaru we're just in love with. So as of a day ago, I think, there's a new announcement from Subaru. So starting in October, the new Solterra is going to come out with the next charger, supposedly. Then early spring of 2026, there's going to be the electric Outback, which they're calling the Trail Seeker, but in Europe it's going to be the E-Outback, I think is what the press release said, which makes more sense to just call it the E-Outback for marketing. And then the one from yesterday, the day before that was press released, is Subaru's going to have basically a cross-track equivalent. It's called the Uncharted, and it's going to have a front-wheel drive and an all-wheel drive version, and it's also going to be NACS. So all three of there's going to be NACS Tesla chargers, like native to the car, and that's going to be really big. The trip, I think, would have been better if there had been either faster charging or more access to chargers along that stretch from Amarillo to Dallas. I did email Electrify America and just sent in a little blurb to ask if that's even an option. I know that with the superchargers being unlocked for Subaru in the near future at some point, I don't know if the investment want is there from Electrify America. I think it would be great because they're great chargers. It would just be nice if there were more of them in that stretch. And I've had plenty of talks to people about the chargers since this trip. There are chargers all over the state of Texas and all outside of Texas. It just happens to be, like I mentioned before, that section between Fort Worth and Amarillo is just vacant of any other kind of chargers except for superchargers. Lots of superchargers. But it was a good car, super comfortable. It was just a long drive. So I'm glad that I did it. But I definitely am considering probably that hybrid Forester for longer trips, unless there's just a breakthrough, which again, there could be. In the last year, since the other Solterra came out, like the Gen 1, whatever, they've had so many improvements. Toyota and Subaru have had so many improvements. So if they can just keep that up, I bet there will be some really positive changes in the next 2.5 years. That was my trip from Dallas to Angel Fire, and Angel Fire back to Dallas in a 2025 premium Subaru Solterra. Thanks for watching.